Hello, everybody. I'm Kate Houston, dating and love coach. And today we have the amazing expert, Amy Shade. She is a women's empowerment coach and speaker who reconnects women with their passions, helps them break free from the stories that are keeping them stuck, and awakens their confidence so that they can live an unstoppable life. She began her career as a dance educator and artist, spending 2 decades performing professionally and educating dancers. But after the sudden and untimely death of her fiance in 2011, she had to reach deep to rekindle her sense of meaning in life. With over 20 years of experience in education, her ability to help others connect with the source of their motivation comes from her well earned experience of life's ups and downs. She's a creator of the Radical Embodiment membership, where she teaches her 4-step process of radical embodiment that gets you unstuck to reclaim your personal power so you can live an embodied, happy life. Amy, welcome.
Hi. Hello, everybody out there. Kate, I'm so happy that we are speaking together today.
Me too. I'm so happy for this too. I'd love for you to explain to everybody watching, what do you mean by radically embodied?
Thank you. Yes. So oftentimes we walk around either in our head or in our body. And one of the things I love to ask people, to consider when we talk about embodiment and how we function in this world is, do you wake up mind first or body first?
Ooh, how do we tell the difference?
Right. So the mind first is where you're just off and running. You don't feel your body when you wake up.
Hmm.
Your mind is the one that is taking the control.
Mhm.
You wake up and you're just off and running in either worrisome thoughts or things to do or whatever it is. You're very mind orientated. And then there's the other aspect, which is body. We wake up and we feel our body first. We feel like, oh, i'm I'm scared today, I'm in fear today, or I have anxiety today, or I'm excited today. And when we wake up and open our eyes, we feel our body first before, like, what do I have to do, right?
Mhm.
And so being radically embodied is really fine tuning that communication between the mind and the body
Mm.
so that we can put those two aspects together and not just lead with the body or just lead with the mind, because oftentimes us body people, when we feel everything so deeply, they call us empath or whatever they want to call us. It's We get stuck in the feeling, and it's really hard for us to move forward
Ah.
and take our mind and get our mind on board. And
Mhm.
oftentimes people are in their mind, they're so wound up here that they forget that they even have a body,
Yeah.
and that every thought that we have lives in our body.
Wow. So what's an example of that where somebody watching say, well, what do you mean by the thought affecting the body or coming up and poking me or trying to give me a signal of something?
Mm-hmm. So that's like the first step of my process, which is reflection. So we use the mind to reflect
Mhm.
about what we believe about things, right? This is the radical embodiment. This is part of my the method, is to reflect on what we believe things mean to us. So I take people into a visualization, not of self, because as when we think about or talk about ourselves, it's very difficult for us to relate, to get to the deep feelings. But when we look at someone else and we see them as being maybe confident, we see them as maybe being in fear, or we go outside of ourselves. That's like the first thing, is to look outside and define what maybe confidence means, what love is to you, what love means, what relationships mean, what does it look like. So that's like the first aspect. And when you take your visualization outside of yourself, that is a mind thing. But I bring it back to you. And where in your life are you missing this aspect? Or in where in your life is this playing out? Then from there, what are the three things you say to yourself? Then from there, where is that live in your body? And we go into that, we do a body check. Where are those thoughts that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not confident enough, whatever it is, living in your body? And we do a body check, and you can feel where that thought is living in your body through tension, upset, fear, anxiety.
Oh, I think this is really interesting because like if you feel tension in your neck and shoulders and your whole like this is a great opportunity for if anybody listening and watching. Like I've always had when I was growing up tension up here. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's part of what you're saying is that this is saying something to me and what's it trying to um, transmit to me to pay attention to.
Correct. Like I had a client who had the same thing,
Ah,
and I had her track the whole week when she was feeling that, and then what was happening in her life at that time.
yeah. And then you can pull it apart because sometimes when you're like you were saying, when we're not connected with our body, we just, oh, we're hurting. We don't
Yeah,
think that there's a reason for it, or it's just I'm tired or something else. And that it's not something for us to work through to actually release and relax from.
correct.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
I know. It really is, because like for me, even I'm a highly solar, my solar plexus is on fire
Huh?
when I'm like in anxiety
You just feel
and
it.
or when I'm in total creativity. And this is important for us because to know this, because then you can also shift the meaning. Where it used to be anxiety, now I get to say, well, maybe it's actually my creativity that's sparking in there.
It's still the unknown, but we
It's
get
the
to make the
unknown.
unknown either joyful or something fearful, is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good. Because it's a choice.
It's a choice. And
Oh,
plus, you can also, when you're feeling it, you can give love.
oh,
You could send love and the blue of healing into that area. We do all that
oh, that's
in
so
the method.
yeah. Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Now, why is embodiment such an important part of that, creating that bigger vision for our life? Now, not just for our love lives, but maybe it is for their love vision and then how it transmutes to the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, we cannot just think we want these things. We're leaving our body behind, and think about that as a woman or a man going on a date and only showing up with your head. That means your shoulders aren't back, you're not open, your energy's not flowing. Instead, you're just like, I'm going to go on this date.
Uh-huh.
So it's important in a vision when you decide, what's my vision for this date? Who do I want to show up as? That's always the vision for me, not the outcome. But like, who do I want to show up as on this date? Well, I want to be open. I want to show up for myself, have my voice, and feel free enough that I can voice whatever comes up for me. I'm not going to hide on this date as I move forward, because every time you hide on a first date, you're setting up yourself for failure.
I love
That's
what
my
you said
belief.
about I love what you said about the vision because it's not the big, when everybody talks vision, they think your big, huge love vision, which is the end result. Instead, you're saying you get to have smaller visions in every part of your day and a first date on a second date of how you want to be, how you vision yourself to be, and let go of the results.
Yes, there's
That
no
result's the
results.
weight. That's the anchor that's pulling you down and drowning you from being who you are.
Mm-hmm. I always say, like, we're starting here and the vision is here, but who we get to be is in that open section, in that
Yeah.
space,
And we get to
and who
play in that.
we get to play in that. And
Oh,
so this is what I started doing when I started dating again after the death of my
yeah.
fiance, which was very traumatic. I was like, I'm a freaking warrior. I'm going on this date as a beautiful warrior. And I would embody openness, I would embody freedom, I would embody these values that I believe to be true for myself, what's important. And I would just walk in there full on grounded. This one guy said to me one time, "You're like a breath of fresh air." That's exactly what I envision myself to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Envision what does a breath of fresh air look like for you if you were being that? because then you get to set, like, it was more about you and the experience you got to have. He's just witnessing to you being you
Oh
versus trying
yeah.
to create something or find out or come from a fact mission, you know, mission
Isn't that
impossible mission. I call it.
yeah, no, I never showed up on my dates like that. I showed up for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That for years of not showing up for myself, this was an important lesson for me to show up for me, to make sure that when I left that date, I felt good about who I was, what I said, what I believed in, and that whole experience.
That is so good because then if you come that way, that's your vision, you embody it, and then you walk away and as you're getting in your car driving home, like, that's me. That was
Yeah.
me. I'm really proud of me being me there. It doesn't mean you were perfect by any means, but it means you were present in what you wanted to be. So no matter what response or message or whatever, there's no self-criticism and judgment that you get to have about it. I mean, if somebody's excited to see you, great. If they think it's not a right match, if they never respond, you don't have to make the story up about it.
Yes. And you know what? I mean, I only date men, but
Yes.
this could probably for men and women
Yeah.
or both. But that people appreciate that,
Yeah.
and they are highly attracted to that. In
Yeah.
fact, I was the one who always say no, thank you.
Yes. You get to choose, put
I
yourself
got
in
to
that
choose.
position.
I got
From
to
a
choose.
Oh, I think that's so good because it's then not from, are you meeting my list of things, which is the job interview energy. And that breath of fresh air is that confidence and self-acceptance, right? Really,
Oh yeah,
they get to feel what that's like.
yeah. And I think when we are true and it to our values and
Yeah.
what we believe, like for ourselves and what's important for us,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong.
Can you speak a little into the difference between what your values might be versus deal breakers? I mean, there may be some overlap, but I think sometimes people may confuse them a bit. There's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. So, when you get clear on your values, right, then that's about you and who you are being,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, if my value is really to be honest, and I go on this date and I'm not being honest, that is only hurting me. And in the long run, if we continue to date and have a relationship, it's going to hurt the relationship. Right. So my values are super important to me that I stay on track with those. And those are the things that are leading everything that I do. As I say, I embody my values.
Yes. Embody them. Don't just
I
think them.
No, I embody them. They live inside of me. Their peace, their freedom, their curiosity, all these things are in my body. And so the values of my partner are something different. Like we as people who are dating, we need to decide what values we want in a partner.
Mhm.
And that those values, when they shine through,
Mhm.
could be more important than circumstances sometimes, because ultimately the value of that person will always shine through. So, like, one of my big values of a person is that integrity, honesty, right? A
Yes.
high emotional intelligence. I need to have that. I need someone who's emotional. I can't be with someone who's not emotional. That's not going to work for me. And so, though those things, when they shine strongly, like you can really pick up with them right away. But that means brutally honest means brutally honest. You got to be able to take that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And direct honesty doesn't have to be defined as brutal. Like
No,
how we're
no.
intaking stuff, right? And again, it's how are we interpreting whatever is, I mean, and sometimes I call it unskillful because there are people who have unskillful communication.
Yes.
And that's a nicer way of saying it rather than judging something they say or you're worried about yours. Like if you haven't learned how to communicate in a vulnerable, honest way that isn't how do I say it? Like you can create intimacy in a no thank you.
Yes.
And that's usually not what we do. We create the disconnect with that because that's some sort of safety mechanism. But the best gift we can give ourselves, like I'm hearing from you for honesty, particularly, or the other person, is that direct honesty is the best gift we can give each other. And
Hmm.
practice, the language to be kind and honest and genuine and
Kind. Yes. And
yeah.
also, sometimes like this, the partner I'm with now, like we're on our first date and he is talking, talking, talking. And he's asking me questions. I go to answer, he's answering for me.
Oh,
And then, and like the questions are really deep, right? Because he has a high emotional EQ, right? You say, and I go, I'm like, hey, can I just say something? Can I just interrupt you for a minute? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, you're really not letting me answer the questions or talk. Like I just got real with them on the date.
yeah.
And I said, this is how I communicate. And then when you ask me really personal questions, it takes me a moment to really think about what my response is going to be because I care about what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I want it to be real.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Totally
helping.
dug it. He was like,
Yeah.
he totally dug it, course corrected, begged. He's like, please go on another date with me. Just give me another chance,
Yeah.
because he was so excited about meeting me that he was all wound up.
And wanting to impart the things he wanted you to know about. I mean, yes,
Correct.
it's like you could have made meaning out of that versus being in honesty about what you were feeling and experiencing and what you'd like to experience. That's really
Correct.
the difference that we get to be in. And I think men really are desiring that kind of honest intimacy where we are open up and ask for what we need directly and openly because they want to make us happy. They want to connect. They want those pieces. And it's amazing any of us really communicate at all well. And if we don't ask, we can't learn from each other what we really
Correct.
mean or what our experiences have been. And it's much more of a delight to find the miscommunications and have humor about it when you realize you're off and then course correct rather than taking it personally and making it mean something or hurting because it is silly when we don't make connection and we don't have to make it a big thing, right?
Yes. And, I think that, I don't know, most of us have been trained to just not speak up. And that's really a disservice to any type of relationship. And, doing relationships in this part of the world, we've really got like a C minus,
Yeah.
really bad, bad information. So we get to really discover who we want to be, how we want to show up, so that it doesn't matter about the rules. There are no rules when you are true to yourself. You actually say what you want to say. You stand up for yourself when you need to stand up for yourself. You become intimate and in conversation if you desire that. It's whatever you desire.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that just really brings us back to having the honesty, having the courage to be able to put and share who you are. That I like leaning into those cracks of moments, like when there's something said where I think when you're talking about anxiousness and whether you're anxious or excited, you might pull back with a meaning you make something versus leaning in to share something you value, like you were saying. And
Mm-hmm.
if it seems like, oh, they're sharing something that might not be in value with me, why don't I just impart my value and see where they go with that? And it's not a you're right or wrong, or it's just, hey, oh, that's making me want to share this with you about me. And just leaving it there.
Correct. And I think, we who have been in the coaching space, we are very lucky and we are very skilled at understanding things. And oftentimes, maybe the women watching this summit have also invested a lot in themselves. But that's beautiful. When you show up, sometimes people have not done that, but they're excited to learn about what you have to say and who you're being.
Yeah.
And that oftentimes I have found with people and relationships in general, because we've done so much work and talked about all this. People need to catch up.
Yeah.
And we need to give them the grace to like want to catch up to great communication, to really being authentic in who we are, and to really not judge them so quickly.
Yeah.
Because people, when you give them the opportunity to see something different in relationships, they love it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they may
Yeah.
not have, maybe had different experiences in learning and discovery around communication
Mhm.
at in an avenue that is a highly emotionally intelligent, but is a different path than you or I or somebody else took. And that can teach us something if we get out of
Correct.
our own way. You're like, fascinating. My brain doesn't work. I don't, but I'm loving how you came about that.
Yes.
It's a recognition.
It's a recognition. And this is where every date that I would have gone on, I don't look back and like that was the worst date ever.
Yeah.
It's more like, wow, I really learned a lot about myself or a lot about them. And that is, I mean, get rid of the dang list, okay? Get into the human interaction and who these people are. They are not a list, they are human beings who have had experiences unlike yours, and that you get to really learn and assess and really get into this experience in such a beautiful way, you know.
That
That's
way we
how
can
I
really, I
always
think,
approach dating.
and when you're embodying
Mhm.
that kind of energy, like you're talking about, and getting it, like get out of our own way, put the list aside, we get to admire something about them and that what they share because we're just listening for who they are versus who they are and how they will fit right now in exactly the box I'm looking for. You just get to be in awe of somebody and their experiences. And that doesn't mean you're committing to them. It means you're being present with them.
Present is super important.
So good.
And if you're looking for someone to satisfy something that is, as a women's empowerment coach, uh, that actually is your responsibility.
Yeah, and there's ways to do that. I love that. I
Yeah,
know
you're.
you have an amazing gift.
Mhm.
I'd like you to share that. It'll be linked below.
Yeah. So what I am gifting to your audience is it's actually a 45-minute. It takes you through the radical embodiment method. It is on confidence. So
Perfect.
I think that's people love the confidence one, so that's like the easiest
Yeah.
one. So to kind of give people, yeah. So it takes you through the 4-step process, and you will. I love the method because it, as I say, it allows you to reflect, which is where wisdom lives. We
Mhm.
don't take the time to reflect. We need to reflect on our thoughts and our beliefs so that we can start deciding if they're true or not. And then the release is the meditation, and it's the, giving love and releasing and finding out where it lives in your body. And then the re-envisioning is we must re-envision a new possibility for our life to create choice. And then the last one is radical embodiment, which is another visualization of it becoming confident, like putting confidence in your body and actually feeling it.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that this would be useful for anyone, even if you've been confident at your business and your career. If something has not been landing in your dating world, this is going to tap into a different feminine confidence than you've been using in your business and career. That's what I'm hearing too.
Yes, the thing about this is that you can apply it to any part of your life. As we know, that we've got business, we got ourselves, we got relationships, we got kids, we got this
Yeah.
and that. So it is one teaching that you can filter into one area of our life. So,
Oh,
and as I say, we're very complex beings. So you get to decide, where it's going to fit in your own life when you want more confidence.
oh, I love it. Amy, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom, your tips, your tools, your methods, your system, and a way for us to become more embodied with our true selves and to share that with the people around us, and particularly when we're attracting the right man to us.
That's right. Thank you, Kate.